Good evening, regular viewer. Welcome back to the Slithy Toves. Just basking in the glow after the devastating loss of 2 mech warriors from Kamia's personal guard. Fortunately not my people, so I don't mind so much. But in return for my heroic efforts, she's given me this HGN 732B Highlander. One of the very early Star League mechs, 26th century design, built initially as a mech for city combat. Hence, although it's a 90-ton chassis, it does come with assault level jump jets and a huge variety of weapon systems, which we'll go into in a moment. But from a slot perspective, it's got a couple of ballistic slots, a few energy slots, it's got a couple of missile slots, support for 3 support weapons, and of course up to the 3 jump jets. And in its stock configuration, it makes best use of all of these, as well as the Star League double heat sinks. And really, the double heat sinks make this mech what it is because it's able to fire almost all of its weapons every round, with nary a minor amount of heat build up. Its heat efficiency is extremely capable. The Gauss rifle doesn't really generate very much heat, and as its primary weapon system, its only limitation really is the amount of ammunition that you can carry for it. The triple medium lasers are the things that are going to build up the most heat for the weight load. That's 36 heat in there. The LRM-20 of course is 18, and the SRM-6 will give you 12 heat on top of that. But really, unless you are maximum jumping and alpha striking each round, this thing is just not going to get hot. And from that point of view, has an extremely powerful sustained fire rate. It's for firepower here rated maximum, can do 302 points of damage in an alpha strike, which is very good for a mech of its weight. Not the most rapid of moving mechs, but for an assault mech, 3 is average, is what you would expect from a 90-tonner. And the jump jets give it excellent manoeuvrability in and around close combat, and of course a very famous manoeuvre, the death from above in a Highlander mech, being known as the Highlander burial. By all accounts, early mech warriors took great delight in jumping on light mechs and burying them in a single jump manoeuvre, forcing the designers to have to reinforce the leg actuators and leg armour. It's not modelled in the game particularly, but it's a lot of fun to jump on things in a Highlander. I just wanted to have a look at this. This is slightly different to the Highlander, the 733 Highlander, which is the base unit that is still in existence come 3025. That is a far less impressive mech. It only has an AC-10 rather than the Gauss rifle in the right arm, and only a pair of medium lasers rather than the triple, although it does still mount the LRM-20 and the SRM-6 and the jump jets. But we'll have to have a look at the builds that are suitable for the 3025 variants at those times. This one, I wanted to have a discussion about what we're going to do with this mech in the context of the campaign, because this mech will allow us to move up into the next league of battles, maybe taking on 3.5 and 4 skull missions with greater degree of confidence than a completely medium-led lance. But in order to do that with maximum efficiency, we have to resolve some of the issues about this mech, and I wanted to go through them and go through my thinking on them a bit at a time. So the first thing to note is that I'm not going to be able to replace any of these double heat sinks, the Gauss rifle, or even possibly the 2+ weapon systems if they are destroyed, because certainly in the way that I've set up this game, I'm not replete with money I've alienated all of the pirates, so I can't get hold of stuff on the black market, and this stuff is rare to begin with. And even though, you know, I could be rolling in 2+ or even 3+ weapons, that's just not the way that I'm playing the game. So I don't really want to be pushing this mech into close combat where it's going to be tanking for me. I want to make use of the extreme range of the Gauss rifle, I think. Yes, thanks. Right, so I want to make use of the Gauss rifle. I think it's the signature weapon for the Highlander in the Star League variant, and although I can't put in a 1/3 ton of Gauss ammo, which would really be my favourites, the 16 rounds of shooting I think will do very well. Now in the tabletop game, Gauss ammo itself doesn't explode, although hovering over this suggests that it still will, but the Gauss rifle itself is explosive because it has massive capacitor banks to hold the electrical charge necessary for fueling the electromagnetic firing mechanism inherent within the Gauss. So the rifle could explode, but the ammunition couldn't. With the Gauss rifle out on the arm like this, it is going to be exposed, and although there's 150 points of armour, that will go down very quickly to the kind of weaponry we're seeing at 4 Skull missions. So we really want to be playing very careful with the weapon on the right hand side. So I'd be very tempted to look at building this as an asymmetric design, with the right hand side turned away from the enemy in almost all circumstances. I'd also like to see it at a greater range from the enemy than would be implied by the 3 medium lasers and the SRM-6. If I am going to be playing it as a right-handed mech, the SRM-6 2+ out here is a liability, and that could get destroyed very easily. So one of the first things I'm going to do is to take the SRM-6 off completely, which won't cost me anything, but it will allow me to use the left arm as a shield arm, and with that goes the SRM ammo. I think I'm probably going to be taking the medium lasers off as well. If I had a choice to run it as a slugging mech for close combat, this particular variant of the Highlander chassis doesn't have a great deal of missile slots. It's only got 2, so you'd want to put 2 SRM-6s in here, 3 medium lasers in here, 3 small lasers in here for support weaponry, and perhaps an AC-20 or an AC-10 in here, and preferably you'd keep the jump jets in order to get back shots on enemies. But in this particular configuration, I'm not going to be doing that. I want a long range design, not short range. So the LRM-20 is perfect, an extreme range capable weapon. The Gauss rifle is an extreme range capable weapon. So the only question is, I've got 7 tons to play with here by default. Do I need to keep all of these double heat sinks, given my heat efficiency is so good at this level? How can I use anything in this torso to pair with the Gauss rifle to allow me to use the shield arm and a right-handed design to maximise my range? So looking at these 3 energy slots and what we could do with them, at long ranges, radiate or energize. So we could put in a triple PPC design in here, which would be quite an extreme design, or we could go triple large laser, or we could go double PPC, double large laser. Depending on how the weight levels go, we'd probably have to sacrifice a fair amount of armour to get triple PPCs in, because they're 7 tons each, so that would be 21 tons we'd be doing there. But the amount of damage that you can do with that would be fantastic, and the stability as well. you might want to sacrifice the LRM-20 to do that and have a direct fire variant as opposed to indirect fire. So what I might want to do is if we swap Gauss ammo over there for a moment, and I'm not going to leave it in the head, but what I want to do is to just pop the double heatsink out there, and let's see how this looks. Okay. So with twin large lasers, an LRM-20 and a Gauss rifle, we're 3 tons overweight, which I'm sure we can deal with. Our heat efficiency is still so good that just by removing one of these heat sinks will allow us to keep that capability. We'd still carry almost maximum armour we'd want. The light rear armour here wouldn't matter so much because we're going to be a long way from the fightings, taking pot shots from the back. And we can even eke out probably some more weight if we take the leg armour down to the same level as the arm armour, for example. We should be looking at having an extra ton to play with. There we go. So we've taken off a ton for that, and then just looking to remove, so let's put this heatsink back in there. Keeping that, it's only £5 in 3 days of work. So we could remove one of the heat sinks. I'm just trying to decide which one is going to be good. Given this is going to be exposed to battle, I think I might take that one out. That means we'll have a spare heat sink. Our heat efficiency is still good. I might want to, got a lot of ammo in there. Gauss ammo, certainly don't want the Gauss ammo in the head, so let's pop it there. And I still have a ton. Now we could save a ton by removing a jump jet, but I still think I've got heat efficiency to play with. So let's, okay. So let's just check the heat efficiency. Here an Alpha Strike will cost me 60 heat, or just shy of 60 heat. We're able to sink 54 heat. Our jump is going to generate, 6, 7, 8 heat at a time. I think that's going to be more than enough. We've weakened the firepower a little bit, but we're still capable of doing 235 damage, and that's at long range as a minimum. The large lasers themselves will go beyond line of sight, so you're looking at 400 meter, 400, 450 meter maximum range here, optimally engaging just within vision range, i.e. 300, 350 meters. Durability is still high. Its melee capability is excellent, but I'd be hoping not to get it in a fight, so not using these slots would be fine for me. I might be tempted to take out a jump jet, push the double heatsink into the centre, and then just pop some light, small lasers in here, just in case if it does have to punch something, it is more than capable of doing that. And I think that the loss of jump capability for long range is probably relatively minimal. In fact, let's do that. So if we move one of the jump jets, move one of these heat sinks into the centre, and then go for the small lasers and just pile them in. And then we've got half a ton to play with, so we might as well just top off the armour. I don't like what it's done with the armour there. Okay, let's tweak this armour back again. Right, so I want 150 on the arms, I want 150 on the legs. And then we want to tweak the, so let's try 70 in the sides. Try 85 in the middle. 200. Let's pop that down. Let's pop that down. 170. So we've got a few to do here. Again, I'm probably quite comfortable tweaking this down to 60, 75. No, probably do just one. There we go. So we've got a nice balanced design. We've got 150 plus 75 points of shield in here. We've got a lot of our ammo sitting in here, but I think it's better for me to be losing ammo than actually. That's rubbish. Let's move the jump jets here. I can't afford to lose the Gauss ammo because I've only got 2 tons of it. There's enough crit padding in here to try and protect the LRM-20. If I lose it, I lose it. It's not the end of the world. I've got other LRM-20s, they just don't do the bonus stability damage. So I'll live with that. So the way I'm going to be playing this is as a left-handed mech. I could push the Gauss ammo in here. Does that save me any time? Yeah, so moving that into there has saved me a day of time. And I'll keep that Gauss ammo away from the fight. So this is the only piece of tech that's sort of hanging out, so to speak, and with 150 points of armour it's actually not that badly protected. So this is the build I'm going to be starting with. It just takes a week of tweaking and 10.5 grand of C-bills, and it's designed for direct and indirect fire, with a bit of melee capability if I need to slug it out with something. If ammunition is running dry, then we can get close and impersonal with the laser banks in the right torso. And that, I think, is going to do us just dandy. I hope you've enjoyed this trip around the Highlander, and I look forward to taking her out for a spin, but that will be next time, and I'll catch you then and see you later. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a good evening.